All right, let's jump into another deep dive. This time, we're looking at Atalanta versus Juventus from this weekend.
Big match.
Good man. We've got a ton of great sources too, articles, highlights, even some serious tactical breakdowns.
Yeah, you really found some good stuff for this one.
I think we're going to uncover some really interesting stuff today. So Juventus, 13th draw in 20 matches.
It's incredible.
It really is. What's going on there? Are they just that good defensively?
Well, that's the question, right? I mean, are they incredibly resilient, or are they just lacking that final touch, to put teams away?
Yeah. Are they just unable to close?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into all the super in-depth stuff, set the scene for us a little bit. What was the match actually like?
Well, right off the bat, Atalanta, they came out with their typical Gasperini high press attacking football, 3-4-2-1 formation.
Yep.
Really pushing forward with the wing backs, especially Bellanova, really looking to stretch Juventus's defense.
So right away they're putting the pressure on.
Yeah. Yeah, they were all over them in the early stages.
Did Juventus kind of turtle up a little bit? They're known for being more cautious under Motta, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could see it in their 4-3-3 formation, very much set up to defend and hit on the counter. And also, of course, they didn't have Vlahovic up front. He was injured.
Oh, right.
So Motta had to get a little creative.
Okay.
And that's where the intriguing false nine strategy comes in.
Ooh. False nine. Now, I've heard that term a million times, but I'll be honest, I don't fully get it. How does that actually work?
Okay, so instead of a traditional striker, he pushed Coop Miners, who's normally a midfielder, up front. So essentially, he was tasked with disrupting Atalanta's press by dropping deeper to receive the ball, drawing defenders out, and then quickly distributing it to the wingers, Zaniolo and Yildiz.
So it's like a decoy almost.
Yeah, it's a bit of a decoy.
Okay.
And the idea is to exploit that space that Atalanta leave behind with their aggressive play style.
Interesting. Okay, so did it work? Was this tactical masterclass the key to Juventus kind of shutting down Atalanta?
Well, I mean, they drew 1-1.
Right.
So you can't say it was a complete success for either side. But, looking at the goals themselves, there's some really interesting insights into how each team was trying to outsmart the other.
Okay, let's get into the goals then. So first up, we had Kalulu finding the net for Juventus in the 54th minute.
Yeah, and that goal, that was just textbook Juventus.
Yeah.
It was all about patience. And that midfield control. McKennie picks out Kalulu with a perfectly timed run, beautiful through ball, and then Kalulu just slots it home.
So they kind of used Atalanta's aggression against them.
Absolutely.
Very, very clever. But Atalanta, they always fight back, don't they? And it seems like Retegui just can't stop scoring this season.
It's incredible, right?
I don't know.
The guy's just come back from injury, and he scores again. A diving header in the 78th minute to equalize.
And with that goal, he's now joint top scorer in the league. Right?
Sure, top scorer. It's unbelievable.
So impressive. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that assist came from Bellanova, right? So Gasperini's, insistence on those attacking wingbacks really paid off there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It was a beautifully worked goal. Bellanova with a perfect cross right onto Retegui's head, and you could just see the frustration on Juventus's faces. I mean, they worked so hard to get that lead. And Atalanta, they just never give up.
Okay, so we've talked about the goals, which obviously are the most exciting bits. But what about the rest of the match? Anything else that really jumped out at you about either team's overall performance?
Yeah, I mean, you have to mention the goalkeepers, both Carnesecchi for Atalanta and Di Gregorio for Juventus. They made some absolutely vital saves, particularly late in the game.
Oh, yeah.
It really felt like either team could have nicked a win in those last few minutes.
It's funny, isn't it? When a game's that close, it really does make you think, what if just one little thing had gone differently?
Yeah.
One missed chance, one different decision could have completely changed the outcome. It almost feels like with the way both teams were playing, the draw was kind of inevitable. Almost like a stalemate, from a game of chess.
I see what you mean, yeah. There's a certain, cautious brilliance in both their approaches, but it also makes you wonder, do they need to take more risks to actually get out of this, this cycle of draws?
Especially for Juventus. How do they turn, what seems like a pretty solid defensive base into actual wins on a consistent basis?
Yeah.
13 draws is a huge red flag. Does it suggest that they just lack something in attack, or they're not good at converting their chances?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, Vlahovic being out, that definitely had an impact.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They really missed having that focal point up front, someone who can consistently draw defenders and create space for others.
Right.
And while the false nine thing was kind of interesting, it didn't really provide the same kind of threat.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Chiesa coming back from injury, that could change things.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got young Yildiz, who's shown some real potential, but he still needs a bit more experience.
Yeah, Chiesa, with his pace and his directness, he definitely add a different dimension
Yeah, for sure.
to their attack. It seems like they have the pieces there, but it's like they haven't quite figured out how to put it all together yet.
Yeah.
What about the midfield? Do you think that's an area where they need a bit more creativity as well?
Yeah. I mean, Juventus's midfield, they're very solid defensively. But you're right. I think they could benefit from having someone in there who can not just win the ball back, but also distribute it quickly,
Yeah.
effectively. Open up those opportunities for the attackers.
Yeah, to really unlock that attack. Okay, so maybe some tactical tweaks or some personnel changes, could give them that extra spark.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also the mental side of things, isn't there?
Right.
Could all these draws start to affect them psychologically? That feeling of always being so close but never quite getting over the line?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, at a certain point, even if you're drawing against good teams, if it happens too often, it starts to feel like a defeat.
Yeah.
And I think Ma's got to find a way to instill that killer instinct in his players, turn those almost wins into, decisive victories. Otherwise, the doubt can creep in.
Yeah.
And it becomes a vicious cycle.
Absolutely. All right, let's switch gears and talk about Atalanta. They probably feel okay about getting a point away at Juventus, but, I mean, this draw still leaves them chasing that top 4 spot.
Yeah.
What did you make of their performance?
I think they showed their resilience, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got that attacking power.
Yeah.
But I think there were a few vulnerabilities that we saw as well.
Like what?
I mean, Retegui's obviously in fantastic form, but they can't just rely on him for goals.
Yeah.
They need other players to step up and contribute offensively.
It's funny you say that because I was just thinking about their high pressing style.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to watch, but does it leave them a bit exposed at the back?
I think that's the trade-off with Gasperini's system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the aggressive pressing can be really effective.
Oh, yeah.
But if they lose the ball high up the pitch, then it does leave them vulnerable to counterattacks.
Mm-hmm.
And Darun, the defensive midfielder, he's so important for protecting that back line.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's caught out of position, then they can be exposed.
Right. So tactical discipline is key
Yeah.
for Atalanta. Any other thoughts on how they could improve? Do you think they need to try a different formation, or are they better off just sticking to their guns and fine-tuning what they already do well?
I think it might be worth experimenting with some different attacking options, particularly against teams that like to sit back and defend in a really compact way.
Okay.
Maybe a 2-striker system.
Yeah.
Something that could create a bit more chaos in the box and give Retegui a bit more support.
Yeah.
Or maybe Gasperini needs to encourage his other attacking players to, be a bit more proactive in making those runs and taking on defenders.
So interesting how each team's strengths can also be their weaknesses.
Yeah.
This draw wasn't just about, the points. It was like a real insight into the tactical battle. The individual brilliance that makes Serie A so compelling.
Right.
I mean, we saw Juventus and Atalanta at their best.
Yeah.
But we also saw, those areas where they need to evolve and get better.
Exactly. And that's what makes the rest of the season so exciting, right?
Yeah.
Both these teams, they have work to do, but they also have massive potential. So who's going to adapt better?
Yeah.
Who's going to take those next steps?
Yeah.
It's a question that can only be answered on the pitch.
Man, I feel like we could talk about this match for another hour.
Oh, easily.
But it's got me thinking already about the next time these two teams face off. Are we going to see either manager change up their approach based on what happened this weekend?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know what this whole deep dive has actually made me think? Is there a certain beauty to a well-fought draw?
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, think about it. A draw can represent this perfect balance between two opposing forces.
Okay.
Neither team dominates. They both show resilience. And you kind of come away with this feeling that both sides, they earned that point.
Right.
Obviously, that's not always the case. Sometimes a draw just feels like a missed opportunity for everyone involved.
Right.
But in this specific instance, with that tactical chess match we saw, the draw almost feels like the most appropriate result.
It's like in chess, that stalemate, where both players have made these incredible moves, but ultimately neither one can outmaneuver the other.
Yeah.
So it's a testament to their skill, their strategy, but you're also left wondering, what would it take to break that stalemate?
Exactly. Will we see one of them take a more risky approach next time?
Yeah.
Or will they continue to prioritize that defensive solidity, hoping to just capitalize on one mistake. I mean, that's what's so great about football, right? It's this constant search for an advantage. That evolution of tactics, and you just never know what's going to happen.
That's why we love it. So this deep dive has given us a lot to think about: the tactics, the key players, the whole mental side of those draws.
Yeah.
We even got a little philosophical there at the end.
We did, didn't we?
I think we covered it all. False nine, those crucial goals, even whether risk-taking or consistency is the real path to success.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job.
Mission accomplished. So to everyone listening, we want to hear from you. Do you think Juventus needs to be a bit bolder?
Yeah.
Is Atalanta relying too much on Retegi's brilliance? Hit us up on social media and let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely. And until next time, enjoy the beautiful game. And remember, sometimes the most insightful lessons come from the matches where there isn't a clear winner.
That's all for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for more SerieA action.